Okay, I'll share what we're gonna focus on today. So you both are in a group together. You're tracking me because of your comprehension, right? So R isn't exactly where we need to be yet. It's not too far off, but what's happening is on the benchmark, we're not scoring as high as we should because we're not taking time to really pay attention to the important details. So right now, the both of you are kind of stuck on this score because we're rushing through it and we're not paying attention to those details. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to pull out the most important details by thinking about the problem. Okay? Gabby, oh, I need a text, Gabby. Oh, sorry. So you meet me on page 1, or I'm going to show you my email? I know, but that was the, like, it's the beginning. Okay. So Gabby, meet on chapter 1, page 5. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, so again, I'm gonna pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm pulling out the most important detail by thinking about the problem. Okay? All right, watch as I do this. Fingers on the word even at 14. To follow along, even at 14, Will Newton towered over his parents. They were short, and somehow the genes had jumped a generation and made him tall, 6 feet 2 inches, and had given him breadth, a strong body with wide shoulders and long legs and muscled arms and big hands. He was brown blonde with brown eyes and some freckles across his nose and cheeks, the kind of freckles parents and aunts who visit once a year just love, but which the owner of those freckles hates. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Now, right now, I'm supposed to be underlining or thinking about the most important detail. If I'm thinking about the problem, the most important detail from what I just read is that he towers over his parents, that everybody else around him is much shorter than him. I think that's an important detail because it sounds like that might be a problem later on in the book. What did you notice I did when I tried to pull up the most important detail? What did I do? So let's make sure I answer. So Gianni, once you fix your, thank you. All right, go ahead, Gabby. What did you notice I did to find out the most important detail?
What you did to find out the most important detail was,
Gianni, you should be thinking about what I did as well.
what was the problem?
Okay, great. So, Gianni, can you repeat what Gabby just said? Gabby, go ahead and repeat it nice and loud. Make sure you're tracking to show that you're paying attention. Go ahead.
What you did was you found out the problem about.
So how did I find out the most important detail? By finding the what? So let's track this forward for a second. I found the most important detail by thinking about the problem. What was the problem that I found on that very first page, Gianni? What did I find? Okay, I'm gonna repeat what I did. It sounds like we had a hard time. So ready? I'll just read the first 2 sentences. Finger to the word. Even at 14, Will Newton towered over his parents. Finger to the word. They were short, and somehow the genes had jumped a generation and made him tall, 6 feet 2 inches. Pause. I'm gonna stop here. As a reader, I'm going to pull the most important detail, thinking about the problem. I think the problem is that he's really tall, so I'm gonna go ahead and underline or pull out that detail that he towers over people, meaning he's so tall that he's much taller than everybody else around him. How did I figure out the most important detail to underline or to pull out? What did I pay attention to? So Gabby, go ahead and repeat yours. Nice and loud, Gabby.
What you did was you found the problem.
Exactly. So I looked at the problem, and that's how I was able to go ahead and pull that important detail. We're going to go to another paragraph, and you're going to practice it. So meet me on page 6. We're skipping around a little. Okay, I'm going to read it, but this time you're going to pick out the most important detail. We're just waiting on Gianni. We're at this time right over here. Once your finger's there, I know that I can start reading. Got it? Gabby? Good fix, Gianni. Okay, here we go. This time he sat at the table with a fresh cup of coffee and smiled at them, beckoned them to sit down and said, "What would you guys think about moving?" Will said nothing. What would be an important detail here to really pull out? Thinking about the problem. Oh, both of us know. Okay, let's hear Gianna's.
I think
An important detail. Will said nothing. Okay, what do you think, Gabby?
well, I think the most important detail is when
Gianni.
they asked me what to think about moving, and Will said nothing.
So how did you come up with that as being the most important detail? Say it again. So if we're picking out the most important detail by thinking about the problem, how did we know to really pay attention to the fact that Will had said nothing? Okay, I'm gonna go back a second. I wanna make sure that I have your full attention because this is a really important lesson that you can use on the benchmark. Like on any reading. Right now I'm pulling a group. I'm not taking questions. Make the right decision. If you need to move, then do that. Okay. I want you to pay attention, Gianni and Gabby, to what the problem is because that's going to help us figure out what the most important detail is. Ready? I'm going to read it again. This time he sat at the table with a fresh cup of coffee and smiled up at them, beckoned them to sit down and said, "What would you guys think about moving?" Will said nothing. So we are paying attention to what the problem is, and that's going to tell us what we should underline, what we should pull out as the most important detail. So what do we think is the most important detail here?
Well, I think the most important detail is
Gabby, it's important that you speak up so that Gianni can learn from you.
well, I think the most important detail.
Gianni, we're tracking you.
Well, I think the most important detail is Will's asking about moving, and he says nothing after that.
So why is that the most important detail? That his mom is asking about moving. Gianni, why do you think? Go ahead. Nice and loud. Bring it back to this. When you find an important detail, what do you pay attention to? Yeah. And so a problem might be that he has to move and he doesn't want to. And so that would be an important detail to pull out. So as you're reading, we don't have too much time left, you're going to think about the problem, and that's going to tell you, Gianni, that's going to tell you what the most important detail is. Okay? We may have to practice this once more. That's what it feels like. Gabby, you can put that away.